Hey, welcome everybody. This is jericho22 from the Guild New Empires fans. Making this video today because I've seen a lot of my guildmates in chat lately talking about going 1-2 in Grand Arena, even 0-3, or zipping straight through to the championship and then coming up against somebody who has a very similar roster and not being able to get over that hurdle and win the championship. So I'm just going to share a couple little tricks that I've learned over the past 6 months of Grand Arena that really helped me. I usually am number 1 or 2 in Grand Arena championships every time in the past 6 months. So I'm going to take a look at just a couple of things that I've learned and hopefully help some of you guys watching. So I just went ahead and I set my defense. I'm going to show you what I did in order to do that. So if you take a look at my roster to begin with, I'm at 3,294,000. So I'm starting to get up there in GP a little bit. I was one of those older characters where when we first started playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, every character you got, you try to max out without really building great teams, or, this is prior to, the big metas. So things have changed, and now you get a lot of top-heavy teams, guys who have Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan, Padme, but they don't have a lot of actual teams that they can place in Grand Arena. So just going through my roster, I have a decent roster when it comes to most teams. Still working on Night Sisters for the past year. Just every time I start, it's something new comes out from Capital Games, and you get away from it, just trying to stay relevant with everything else. So the way that I place defense, and a lot of us fall prey to the same thing, where we become complacent with the exact same defenses that we're placing every time. So normally I would go my Jedi Knight Revan or Bounty Hunters. I'll swap them out. But then I go Clones, First Order, Ewoks, Geos, all the teams that are just known for defense. And you can do that. The problem is that if you do that every time, you set it and then you forget it, and you just count on them to be able to get stops and limit banners. A lot of times you're going to end up losing. And the way that I try to play defense is I try to win on defense prior to the Grand Arena even starting. So what I like to do is I go to my opponent's roster and I start to dissect it. So I go through his roster, and you got 24 hours that you get to set your defense, so you got plenty of time to actually go through it. But I start going through his roster and try to nitpick and figure out what he's going to do prior and where he can hurt me on defense. So his Bounty Hunter team is average. Looks like he just got them up enough to be able to unlock Chewbacca. His Clone Trooper team isn't anything special right now. So he's got Grievous at 6-star, not geared up at all. Right away I'm noticing that R2 and BB-8 are both, not gold geared. BB-8's pretty low. So chances are his Resistance team isn't that great yet. Alright, so this is something that's always interesting to me. So he has a pretty decent Empire team right now. He doesn't have Imperial Troopers built up, but when it comes to just straight Empire, having Palpatine, Vader, Thrawn, Tarkin, Palpatine, Vader, and Thrawn alone can take out an Ewok team, and my Ewok team is about 90k, but I've had that taken out in the past just pretty much from those 3. And then you throw in Tarkin, that's a guaranteed win, and that's going to be big banners for him if he saves his team for offense. Which most of the time Empire is saved for offense. So right now, that pretty much tells me that I don't want to put my Ewoks in the front row like I've been doing. Either try to hide them in the back and make my opponent eat this team, trying to take out, another team, or end up saving them for offense. Alright, so he's got an Ewok team. I know he got C-3PO unlocked, so they're not bad. Again, when it comes to the Ewoks, an Empire team can take them out pretty quick. So right away, I already know I'm going to end up saving my Empire team for offense. Chances are, looking at this team, that he's got this team, built up a little bit. Most of them are Gear 11, Gear 10. He's got the Xenon Churlock. He's going to end up probably placing this team somewhere on his defense. So that should be pretty big banners for me if I end up using my Empire team or an underdogged Empire team. Alright, so he's got the makings of a First Order team. Knowing that he's gold geared both his Kylos, he's got Zetas on him, chances are he's going to end up using them. First Order isn't notoriously great on offense, but when it comes to defense, you know, they can be a little tricky. What a lot of people don't know is that an Ewok team is a great counter to a First Order team on defense. So, I mean, that pretty much just said it right there. I'm going to end up pulling my Ewok team off of my defense and going ahead and putting them on offense to try to counter this team here. Alright, so looking at his Galactic Republic, he's got Zetas on Kenobi, Ahsoka, Anakin and Ahsoka are pretty well built up. Kenobi's getting there. I'm guessing he has Barristan in with their team and Padme. So they have the makings of a pretty decent Galactic Republic team. Padme is not 7-star, but you don't always need her 7-star just to get a win. A lot of times, people have used this team against me with my Geos. I'm going to try to do my best to make him use his team early and still try to be able to keep Geos on the back row hidden somewhere. So right now his Geo team isn't anything special yet. He's got the Zeta on Brute Alpha, so he's going to be able to summon the Brute right away, but if he puts them on defense, I'm not that worried about it. Having Scion and Nest, I don't have Trey yet, but having Scion and Nest, and just a basic Sith team can pretty much take out a really low Geo team like this. This Geo team is probably high 60s, low 70s in C4. Imperial Troopers, not a whole lot yet. It looks like he's just starting to build them up. Jawas, there's nothing there. Alright, so when it comes to Jedi, obviously he's going to be taking Kenobi away for the Padme team. So he's got Basila, Yoda, Bindu. It's probably maybe Hermit Yoda and Ezra is what he's probably using. He might end up placing those on defense. That's not a great offensive team right now. He doesn't have them built up. Alright, so he has the starts of a pretty good Night Sister team. He's got Night Sister Zombie above Gear 10, so but he doesn't have the Zetas with it. So, looking at this team, I can already tell you my Bounty Hunter team, I can go in and underdog these guys and get really great banners for it. Going against a Gear 13 Night Sister team, my Bounty Hunters were able to beat them. Bounty Hunters are about 95k, and I had full banners, full health. So, I'm going to go ahead and guess that the Night Sister team is probably being placed on defense. Old Republic, they don't have Zalbar, Mission, and Karth, and Zetas, and all that stuff, so that's not something I have to worry about this Grand Arena. Phoenix, yeah, that's another thing I really don't have to worry about right now. Alright, so looking at his Rebel team, he does have C-3PO, but he's only 5-star, he's not geared, he doesn't have the Zetas. Han's not geared 12 yet. Right now, this Rebel team is not really a viable option to take on my Jedi Knight Revan team. So, looking at that, I can pretty much assume they're not going to be able to get through the top row that I placed on defense. So, you know, that's one of those things where I looked around at my defense. So I'm like, where can I hide Geos just in case? Where can I hide a weaker team so I can save a little more for offense? So putting in the back row behind Jedi Knight Revan, they're really not going to be able to get through that. Okay, so Resistance team, I mean, they're not really built up yet. You know, Rey probably has that Zeta, I'm guessing, on her leadership. Yeah, it's on her leadership. But R2 doesn't have his second Zeta, BB-8 doesn't have his second Zeta. Resistance Trooper, you know, he's just going to continuously feed turn meter, but that's not anything that really scares me right now. You know, that might be a counter to my First Order team, but my First Order team is built up pretty decent at the moment. So row 1, nothing's built up there. Okay, so he's got Emphas Nest. He's got him gear 11 with the Zeta. He's got Kira, you know, starting to be built up with the Zeta. So chances are he ends up using a Kira lead with Emphas Nest to be able to take out Ewok teams pretty easily. And that tends to be big points. So I'm gonna, you know, it's one of the things that I kind of noticed was I'm definitely not putting Ewoks on defense now. I'm gonna end up saving them for first order on offense. So Separatist team, nothing much brewing here. You got Count Dooku, but nothing behind him. So looking at his Sith team, he does have Traya, and he's got Traya at 6-star. He's got 2 Zetas on him. He does have the Triad, so that can be worrisome for the Geos, because the 3 of them can solo a Geo team. But I'm going to show you what I'm hoping for when it comes to defense as a counter for that. And again, he doesn't have much when it comes to skill. So what I ended up doing for defense when I placed my defense, if you're going through their roster, they don't have a real viable counter to Jedi Knight Revan. So they could potentially, you know, use 2 of their big teams, maybe even 3 of their big teams to try to get through him. But if they do, they don't have a whole lot of firepower. So they got to try to get through, you know, my front row and then get to a back row and be able to clear for banners. So right now I'm pretty much assuming that they're not going to be able to get through that. Even with the Traya lead, it's still really difficult to be able to beat a Jedi Knight Revan team, especially that they're built up, their own gold gear, they have Zetas, and his Sith team isn't built up all that much. Now, I like to throw in clones. I don't have Shaak Ti yet, but clones tend to be tricky. Not a lot of people have great counters to them. Even though I don't have Shaak Ti, you know, I got them built up. I don't have the Zetas yet on Fives or Echo or Rex. But Cody has his Zeta, so if he's going to be able to beat this team the first time up, he's probably going to have to use his CLS and his Rebel, so that takes out one of his top 3 best offensive teams that he could be using. So bottom, I put a Resistance team on there. Just going through their roster, it doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of firepower against them. First Order, you know, if they had saved their Ewoks for offense, you know, that could be troublesome. But right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of counters for them. Hoping that they end up using their Traya in the front row and not being able to get back to the Geos. You know, my Geos are, you know, 89k right now. I'm building them up slowly. They're going to be over 90k pretty soon. But they tend to get a lot of stops for me. So what's going to end up happening is that chances are they're going to see Jedi Knight Revan up top, and since they don't have a real viable counter to them, they're going to try to take out my clone team, they're going to try to take out my Resistance and their First Order. So knowing that if they don't have the viable counter to Jedi Knight Revan up top, they're going to use better teams to make sure they get a good damage. So I'm hoping that they end up using Traya here, or that they end up putting Ness on their Night Sisters team on defense. But worst case scenario, you know, it looks like they're only going to be able to get about half banners, and right there, with them only getting half banners, tells me, you know, all I really need is to be able to get more than that, which shouldn't be that hard. So looking at the teams that I've saved for offense, so I got a Bounty Hunter team saved for offense. That's going to be able to take on a Night Sister team pretty easily. You know, I've been able to, like I said, take out Gear 13 Night Sister teams with a 95k Bounty Hunter team with full banners before. So I have my Empire team. Palpatine, Vader, and Thrawn can go ahead and take out an Ewok team by themselves. Probably throw in Tarkin just to be safe. You know, still going to get big banners from that. Now I saved Ewoks for offense this time, simply because they have Ness and they have such a great Kira with them, as well as an Empire team. So the E-Box are a great counter to First Order. Chances are they're putting First Order on defense, so should be able to take them out pretty easily. So when it comes to cleanup teams, I got enough Galactic Republic right now, so I'm farming for Padme. They're about 74k when it comes to Galactic Republic. So Geos are going to be in the back row. So I have extra Jedi. Not using Ezra in my Jedi Knight Revan team, especially on defense. Now, if I was going to use Revan on offense, I'd probably end up using Ezra with him. Yeah, a couple Jedi. I can probably scrounge up a couple wins here and there. Night Sisters isn't built up, but they're not bad to be able to come in and clean up. So Rebels, I can underdog just about any of his teams that he places on defense right now with Commander Luke, Han Solo, and Chewbacca. So that's going to be pretty big points. Saves me Ezra and Biggs, and my Leia is 11, and Luke is 9. So is Fulton is 9. So can make a couple little mixed match teams to be able to get some banners. Sith-wise, I mean, I got a Dark Scion, Dark Nihilist, so if they do end up placing that Geo team on defense, or if they end up placing Nest on defense, if they place Nest with the Night Sisters, what I'll end up doing is I'll bring in a Palpatine Sith team with Palpatine, Scion, Vader, Nihilist, and I'll bring in Thrawn with them. Just keep feeding Nihilist every time that Thrawn has the ability to, until I'm able to annihilate Nest, and then I can use my Bounty Hunter team for a different team. You know, if they don't have Nest on defense and they have their Geos, as long as I can get Scion and Nihilist to stay alive a little bit, which they usually do, just having a Maul lead, with the Geo team that he has that's so low in GP right now, should be able to get Nihilist to go off pretty quickly. Yeah, so that's what we have right now. Looks like it should be a pretty easy win this time. They should only be able to get about half the banners. My goal is always to be able to full clear them. So even if that means that you can't beat them the very first time, and you need to bring in a cleanup team, you're still going to be getting big points for being able to clear territory. So that's the whole name of the game: is get more points than they do and stop them from gaining a lot of points. But that's really how you read another team's roster. Just go through, see what they have that can counter what you're looking to do, and then think worst case scenario and try to figure out plan B for it. So this Jericho22 from New Empire's Hands, first video. I'll be posting another one tomorrow with the actual attack phase, so you guys can see how this strategy worked out.